Hey everybody! Happy
Yo.
Friday!
Hello.
What up?
Hey, this is the first one of these things we've done in a while.
I almost forgot what this thing was.
Yeah, and I think I missed the last couple that we did. So I've
That
been,
could
we haven't
be.
done this in a couple of months.
It's been months. I know.
I think it's been like 6 weeks. I don't know. I can't remember. Bob is at DragonCon.
Yep, Bob's at DragonCon.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Trying to get a hold of him, but
Yeah, I've been
who
trying to
knows?
call him because I want him to FaceTime with us so we could see what's going on.
If anybody else is at DragonCon, go find him.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's at DragonCon watching our live stream.
You
So
don't
I
think
was
so?
just
Oh,
I'm buying tickets right now, airline tickets for our 2 private shows and extravaganzas that are happening in Arizona. And oh my God, is it difficult to get to Arizona from the New York area?
mm-hmm.
There's like ridiculously long layovers. At one point, they make you get out of the plane on the tarmac and they whip you with belts.
There's no Arizona Express.
No, not unless you want to. I found a direct flight. It's like $1,200 per person, and we can't do that.
No, we
yeah,
can't
it's
do
not
that.
gonna happen. Not gonna do it.
So here's something else I'll throw at you boys.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we had a shitty global warming summer here in Connecticut,
mm-hmm.
which meant that it was stinking hot and really stupid humid. And but now this is one of the nicest Septembers I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, 2 days in, but yes.
Yeah, we're 2 days in. Yeah.
Look, we're 2 days in. I'm trying to be
Don't ruin
positive.
it.
I'm trying to be positive.
Don't spoil a good thing.
But
Well,
the past
that's-
couple of days have been profoundly beautiful outside, like some of
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. Yeah. So here in the Northeast, it's been an interesting summer. Certainly one of the driest summers I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking up the drought conditions just yesterday for Connecticut. And we are in like a category. We're in like one of the mid categories. It's extreme. It's called extreme drought. It's but not the highest level, except
Yeah.
for the very southeast corner of the state, which is inching towards the highest level. And I looked up the rainfall totals. And we are for that part of the state, the very southeast part of our state is got 26% of the rain it would normally
Yeah.
get for a summer. So 1/4 of the of the normal rain, which is, certainly a problem in a lot of ways. And then there's other parts of the country that are absolutely flooded out, devastated. I mean, the weather is, nuts this summer.
Yeah, it is nuts. Yeah, it's scary. The idea of having a drought is really like random. It's just a random occurrence of just the weather not behaving as we'd like it to. But it's extreme. That's the whole thing about global warming is like, yes, you're going to have droughts and you're going to have flooding. It's not going to be, in a normal zone like we want it to. And it's going to get worse.
Yeah, it's not that we haven't had these kinds of conditions before in the summer. We have. I was doing some, searching in the history. Apparently, the mid '60s was some of the driest summers on record in Connecticut, drought wise. But I think what's happening and what's going to happen, in the near future is we're going to experience more of these extreme conditions.
Yeah, just be more frequent, more extreme.
Become closer to the normal and it'll be an outlier.
I wonder what's going on with the water table. I wonder, like I have a well at my house, and I wonder, I don't know where that water line is and how deep my well is, but it's scary to think that it's possible. I live on a hill.
We had a client who called us this week. We were supposed to meet with them, but they couldn't because they had to have an emergency delivery of water to their house because their well ran dry.
Oh boy.
Dried out. So it depends. Each spot is different. Don't hire dowsers, by the way. They don't know what, nothing's going on with those people. But yeah, you can definitely have your well go dry, and that's a bad thing for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Well, we all have to adjust our expectations of what our quality of life is going to be, because there's really no other way around it. And speaking of quality of life, my third topic for you guys is on August 1st, me and a bunch of my friends started a weight loss challenge. So it's basically like whoever loses the biggest percentage of body weight, and we're going to do it over the course of several months. Yeah, so I lost 6 pounds in August.
That's good. That's a healthy pace.
Yeah, I like the slower pace, even though I'm in a contest. The contest is there to keep you in the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It does work. When it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm like, I need to eat, and I'm like, losing my willpower, like this thing helps me gain a little willpower.
Lemon water.
Think so?
Nice lemon water.
But that's not a fair method, because that is skewed towards people who are lighter to begin with, because the same amount of weight loss will be a higher percentage of their total
shouldn't it be
body
percentage?
weight. It should not be percentage, because it's not like if somebody weighs a lot more that they can necessarily lose weight proportionately faster. You shouldn't. The rate of weight loss will be about the same.
I agree, Steve. I brought this up. The idea, though, I get what you're saying, right? And we've been talking about it to a certain degree, but the bottom line is it's motivation, because everybody's got to pay $50 every month.
Yeah.
And whoever wins. My wife happened to win this month, so I'm like, cool. But whatever. This is not a money-making scheme, although I'm putting together an idea of a of a pyramid scheme with weight loss. I got to think about this. Yeah, right. No, but the idea, though, is I actually do like the slow weight loss, because it's much healthier. You don't want to
6 pounds a month is good rate.
Yeah, it's a good
rate.
Yeah,
it's pretty healthy.
The watermelon diet. I'm on top of it.
Let's go.
Yeah, so Richard, speaking of meatballs, I have not made my bread in over a month, and I have not had meatballs in over a month. And I was telling Ian about a half an hour ago that I am absolutely running on a meatball deficit right now. So, Steve, as a neurologist, I'm asking you this.
Yeah.
Not as a professional skeptic, as a neurologist.
Yeah, Jay's marinara level. Go ahead.
My marinara levels are so low.
Oh, my gosh.
So I noticed that on this low-calorie diet, I hit a wall at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And I get extraordinarily sleepy for like a half an hour. And I noticed that like anything past like 5 o'clock, like starting about right now, my ability to think dramatically goes down. Is that all
Mhm.
calories?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. I mean, there's so many variables there. Like, how are you sleeping at night is, probably a huge factor for those kind of symptoms.
My sleep hasn't changed.
But
Still crappy.
yeah, if you're basically, the thing is you're losing weight because your body is getting the calorie it needs by burning your fat stores, right? So it really shouldn't have a dramatic impact on, as long as you're eating a well-balanced diet and it's just a little bit of a calorie deficit where you're losing weight at a slow rate, that's fine. As long as you're not like metabolizing your muscle because you're desperate,
Muscle.
or we're having a super low carb diet where you're getting, ketogenic, which is not good for you.
Would that affect your? Well, I'm asking you because I want to know if I'm not eating enough.
No, I mean, I think, again, 6 pounds over a month is a good, healthy rate of weight loss.
Okay.
As long as you're having a well-balanced diet.
I'll chalk it up to because I'm eating like oatmeal for breakfast and then I don't eat until dinner.
Yeah.
So there's a long time during
you're better
the day.
off having, you're better off having 3 small meals a day than going that much time without eating. That's probably why
I'm sorry,
you're hitting that wall.
Yeah. That doesn't work, Steve.
I've been eating some almonds in the afternoon kind of to help it out. It's tough though, man. Like the feeling of being hungry to me, I don't know if everybody feels this way. Some people must feel the way I feel. I feel a pain.
Feeling that way.
I just feel like I'm in pain when I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It goes against my Italian genetics.
Is it psychic pain?
It might be. It might be a psychic vampire that moved into my basement that's just feeding off me. I don't know. I'm happy I lost 6 pounds. I don't really notice it, which means it all came out probably out of my midsection, like the back of my midsection. Yeah, my ass. What little.
All right, I got a few news items to talk about too.
There we go.
All right, hit it.
I had another bear sighting at my house this morning.
Okay, what color was it?
It was in the news.
Black bear.
Okay,
was there
my dog was it big?
It was a full adult black bear. It was huge.
Holy
6:15 in the morning, my dog loses his shit. Like
I
know my dog's various barks. This was his total freak out bark.
There's thing on the
Oh yeah, it was full Shatner at 20,000 feet.
Totally. Yeah. Right, the bear came up on the deck and was trying to get to the bird feeder stuff, right? So by the time we got to the window to see what was going on, the bear was off the deck and in the backyard, and he was still noodling around. He was like sniffing around the apple tree and trying to climb up the pear tree or whatever. Then he just meandered into the woods.
That's the thing about bears is most of the time they are just noodling about. They don't do anything quick. They act like they don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
They just because they don't have to because they're the biggest thing out there. 3 space news things. One is, people have mentioned in the chat, Frank Drake died today. 92.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
92. Natural causes, 92. That's pretty good. You can't argue with that, right? I think anybody would take that. He had a good run.
That's a good age, man. As long as the quality of life is there.
Still sad to see a giant like him go.
Yeah.
The famous Drake equation.
Yep.
You assume the entire audience knows who Frank Drake was?
Yeah, just the Drake equation. Look at that. President of SETI for a while. Yeah. He
has a new album.
So the Artemis was scrubbed on Tuesday or Monday when it was.
Yeah.
And they're go for launch tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow. And the weather's supposed to be good, so everything looks good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
So tomorrow's either going to be a good day or a bad day.
This is an uncrewed vessel. It's going to go around the moon, basically test everything out before they do the first crewed launch.
Steve, can I dig into this a little bit?
Go right ahead.
I'm not going to name names, but I was on Facebook and somebody that I know and respect as far as them being able to research information and digest information said that the Artemis program is complete crap and they should scrub it and they should defer the money and everything that they've done. Great. They've made some progress with certain technologies and all that, but they should basically get rid of it. And I honestly have never heard anything like this before, which surprised me because I would think if that information was legitimate and it exists, that I would have stumbled on it, because it's not like I'm only reading like one news source. I read a lot of news sources.
No, I've stumbled upon that opinion in the past.
Well, what is it? What is it? And people in the audience, if anybody knows about it, let us know in the chat.
Well, I mean, the critics say that it's, it's very expensive. What's it actually going to accomplish? It's not really sustainable, blah, blah, blah. But the point that I think first of all, we're way past the point of no return. It's scrubbing it would be a waste, and the thing works. It's not like it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Well,
it's just that they want a different mission. It's like, well, you lost that fight 10 years ago. Suck it up. We're doing Artemis.
That wasn't the 100% the sentiment that I was reading. What I was reading was that it was not well crafted, right? The project was not well maintained, managed, wasn't well crafted. They were reusing a lot of technology from the space shuttle, like even using engines from the space shuttle.
Like the solid rocket boosters, I think, are the same ones.
But I was concerned because the way that I read this, it made me feel like, maybe the rocket isn't going to launch successfully, and I just wanted to ask you guys if you heard about any of this.
It's like, yes, that's true. That's recycled technology that was done to save money,
right?
Just to use existing technology. But that's just a statement of fact. I'm not sure what the criticism there is.
Yeah, is there something inherently wrong with the old rocket boosters that totally jeopardizes this mission or puts it in some sort of danger, as if they had built new ones? How much of an improvement would that be? They must have made all those assessments, the people who were all into this and made the determination it was not cost effective to do that. And that it was good enough to go with what they already had. So if that's the assessment, do it.
Yeah.
It was a project designed by committee. You know what I mean? And it has all of the features of that.
I agree.
But it's like, okay, so what? It's going to get to the moon,
I hope so. I mean, anytime a brand new rocket launches, it's risky.
It's not the sunk cost fallacy, by the way, as somebody said in the comments. That is when you're throwing money after something that's a loser, right? That's not going to achieve the goal. And you think, if I just, I've already put money into it, so I'm going to keep putting money into it. That's different than getting halfway through a project where it's going to succeed. It's going to do the thing you want it to do. Pulling the plug now, you get nothing. It's like when they pulled the plug on the super collider in Texas. They dumped hundreds of billions of dollars into it or something ridiculous, and then they stopped it. It's not a sunk cost fallacy to say, well, then we wasted all that money. Just complete the freaking thing and you have a super collider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a sunk cost if you think it's going to fail, but you don't want, but you've already put money into it, so you're going to keep going or whatever. But it's different. But what's inefficient is changing your mind halfway through a project and then having nothing to show for it. Like, then the money is flushed down the toilet.
Yep.
The goal here, the ultimate goal, is to get humans on Mars, and that is why all of this is happening. And one of the I didn't comment on Facebook because I suddenly felt completely uneducated, and I didn't want to start saying things without finding out much more. But one of the comments that I had bouncing in my head was, when they spend billions of dollars, they're creating technologies.
Yeah,
they are pushing certain technologies forward, and they're creating a lot of things that didn't exist before. Like, as an example, that MOXIE unit that's on the rover on Mars that's creating oxygen.
I read about that.
Yeah, right. We talked about that on the show.
Well, that was my second thing I wanted to talk about, because the update there is that MOXIE is actually producing oxygen, and they've tested it now under almost every condition where they wanted to test it. So they tested it in every Martian season during the day and at night, and it works fine. The only condition that they haven't tested it under is dusk and dawn, where you're switching from day to night or night to day. And the only reason to think that there might be an issue there is because it's a rapid change in temperature. But but it works in every other condition. It probably would work even at dusk and dawn. But they want to be able to prove that it could work all the time. So it makes it concentrates CO2 from the atmosphere in Mars, and then electrochemically converts it into oxygen and carbon monoxide, and then it's just releasing those into the atmosphere. But an actual working model, which would be much bigger, would store both of those gases.
Right, capture, right.
Oxygen is extremely useful, obviously, for a lot of reasons.
Oh yeah.
For breathing and for fuel.
What can you do with carbon monoxide?
Carbon monoxide is a very industrially useful molecule. It's a high energy molecule. It's a feedstock for fuel too. So you could make, if you add hydrogen to carbon monoxide, you get hydrocarbons. So if you make, if we had a source of hydrogen on Mars, you could then, make oxygen and, hydrocarbon fuel out of the carbon dioxide. Now, where we're probably going to get hydrogen from on Mars is to electrolyze water into oxygen and hydrogen. Mm-hmm. So again, we have more oxygen. Then we combine the hydrogen from the water with the carbon monoxide from this carbon dioxide, and then you get your oxygen and your fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So if we find water on Mars, you're saying
there's plenty of water on Mars. There's plenty of water, and they've already done proof of concept where they think, we could probably electrolyze the briny water on Mars, without having to purify it first. There's plenty of water type molecules in the subsurface soil, the frozen.
Yeah.
And there may be actually subsurface liquid water. So, but there's plenty. So there's basically plenty of hydrogen on Mars. In fact, some people think that if we have a self-sustaining settlement on Mars, that could be basically the fueling station for the inner solar system. You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Yes.
As we flesh out the inner solar system, if we get to the expanse, phase of occupying the solar system, Mars basically would be the refueling station, because we could make plenty of oxygen and hydrogen and fuel there.
Last fuel till Jupiter.
Yeah,
basically. Or Io or wherever.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It just reminded me of our conversation, Steve. I got to talk to the everyday astronaut.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of which, this is a good time to tell everybody on the stream. We are having a live stream, 6-hour live stream on Saturday, September 24th. So that's just coming up in 3 weeks.
3 weeks from tomorrow.
From 12 noon to 6 p.m. So 6-hour live stream. It's basically going to be 2 SGU episodes back to back.
Yeah.
Right. But we're going to have a lot of special content as well. We're trying to line up some interviews. We won't say, until we confirm, we won't say who they are, but
that's going to be fun.
Put that on the calendar, September 24th.
I'm excited to get in that studio and do a nice chunky live stream.
Yeah.
It's going to go fast.
6 hours,
6 hours is
nothing.
But the point is, we want to talk about this.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, one of the major topics of discussion.
Because the book is dropping. I might as well ask the people that are here what their preference is. So Steve and I were talking today. I came up with the idea with our first book. I got a stamp. Remember that stamp I had, Evan?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep.
So if you come to one of our live events, I have this big rubber stamp that I was putting in the book. And then I was talking to Kernan Coleman, who is our designer, and Kernan came up with the idea. We were talking about the whole stamp idea of having a bigger stamp. Let me show you. I was thinking on the hardcover, when you go to page 1, right? This is the hardcover, say, there could be a big stamp that I put on there, and that could be the place where the authors sign their names, and then you can personalize it. It'll have all these spaces, that are not filled in yet, that are supposed to have information put in, which I thought could be cool. Then there'd be a cool graphical design. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. What do you think about that, Ev?
Yeah, so I was actually chatting with someone while you were talking in the Discord. Can you refresh me? I'm sorry, Jay.
Just
So
a big stamp, right? That would go on the first page of a hardcover book.
Yes.
That has places for the authors to sign, right? You know, it's like a template. So it's like there's going to be a cool graphic, then there'll be a place to write down the person's name that bought the book, and then the authors have a place, an underlined place to sign. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a form that we do it, but it would be a really cool looking graphic as well.
Sounds good. If it's graphic, anything graphic, I think.
Yeah, I think it would be good.
Anything graphic, sure.
Yeah, but it's the choice between just a standalone stamp with an image of something on it versus one that contains the signatures.
Yeah,
right? That's the choice. A big stamp we could sign, or just a separate stamp and then we sign somewhere else.
Yeah, I'll have both. I'll get
either.
both.
Either works,
and
but we could have both and give people a choice.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea.
Choices are good.
Sam Etchell in the chat said that he'll only buy a book if I load up my face with lipstick and I put a big smooch mark on the cover. What do you think, Steve? Should we go for that?
If you're willing to do it, sure.
If I can get the blue color that we have for SGU, I could do that.
Call it smoochy blue.
Now he wants.
No, yes, you can.
That's extra though. That's extra.
You can pre-order the book right now.
Where could they do that?
Well, you can pre-order the signed copy of the book as well.
You can pre-order signed copies as well. We are pre-signing a bunch of books.
And what URL would they go to do that?
Yeah, Jay, do you know what the URL is?
Right
go to
that's right.
.com.
And you can click on the Our Books thing, and then you'll see it's pretty.
Go there too, or you can
and
go
Ian,
directly. Skeptics Guide to the Future Book.com.
If they're in the UK, there are links now for UK sellers.
And New Zealand and Australia too, right? That we got links for all those.
Are there spoilers for the first book? What do you mean? Like, are we going to give you some spoilers right now? Somebody wants my meatball sauce on the front card. All of these things can be done, guys. All of them. I'll tell you a couple of spoilers from the book. On page...
How many pages are there?
119. It starts with a great representation of the future of technology, more generally, in that the choices we make will have a profound effect on what ultimately happens. That's a pretty generic sentence if you think about it. In the copy of the book that I have, not including the index, which is not included in this book. My God, look at all the references, Steve. 381 pages. The references are profound. Oh my God. So happy. I'm so happy we're done.
Yeah. By the way, you probably notice that I'm coughing a lot. It's because I have.
Hey, why is that, Steve?
I have COVID. I caught COVID when I was in Italy, probably on my way back or very towards the end of the trip. I got sick about 48 hours after getting home.
Perfect.
Today's day 10 after testing positive, so I'm back at work and everything. I had to stay away from work for 7 days. That's the policy. And just as I'm in my, acute COVID illness, they announced that the new boosters will have the Omicron. Will cover the Omicron variant.
Yeah.
A little too.
Your body took care of that one.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll wait 6 weeks to get the booster, and that will give me the maximum immune response. Then I'll have super immunity.
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be good for when we're signing books over the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
I'm gonna go get when that booster's coming out next week, Steve.
It's out.
Good. I'm gonna
available to everyone.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And
that's awesome.
And how severe was it, Steve? How were your symptoms?
It was like a really bad cold.
Yeah.
Not as bad as the last time I had the flu.
Oh gosh,
flu is like a real chesty cough, and you just feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
This was it was like 1 day of fever and chills, and what we call the viremia stage, where the virus is replicating in your blood, and then like 3 or 4 days of runny nose, stuffy nose, cough, not sleeping, tired. And now I'm on the tail now of just like this lingering cough that, from what I understand, people with the same variant that I have, like it's 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks was mine.
Cough.
Yep.
It has your 5G reception.
Yeah.
Any better?
Yeah, right. All that metal floating around your body, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, any taste or smell loss? Somebody asked.
No.
I hope you don't get hit with the unbelievable fatigue that comes in a couple of weeks.
I'm just sleepy because I'm not getting a full night's sleep.
Yeah, it disrupted my sleep badly.
It was definitely Omicron because that was the BA.5. It's because that's what was circulating in Italy when we were there.
Yeah,
that was very much the dominant strain.
The worst thing that could have happened was that you get there, you have COVID while you're in Italy, and it wipes out your ability to taste food. That would have been like.
Yes, it did not interfere with your enjoyment of your holiday, so that was good.
Yeah, definitely rather want to get on the way back than the way there. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Are you taking Advil, cold and sinus, by the way, Steve?
No, it doesn't work.
That's the only medication. That is the only one that works as far as.
Okay, here we go.
No. When I absolutely need to dry out my sinuses, I take Afrin. That works.
Yeah, that shit's addictive though.
But that's why I use it very sparingly. I only use
it sparingly.
I don't use it around the clock. I use it like, all right, I need to sleep. I use it.
If you take too much Afrin, can that trigger a sinus infection, Steve?
It's just that you get tolerant to it very quickly.
I see. So effectiveness goes away.
Yeah, basically, like you come down off of it, and when you're coming down off of Afrin, your nose swells up.
You got like a rebound.
You got rebound swelling. So you're gonna go through it at one point, no matter what. Yeah, I stay away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Steve, remember our Uncle Bob was addicted to it?
Yeah.
He was constantly using
all the time. He was sniffing at it.
Sure it was Afrin?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We don't know. It was the 70s. It could have been anything, man.
Those caps screw off and you can kind of, anything in an Afrin. Just saying. Never knew Uncle Bob. Never met him.
That guy was something else.
Well, he had, he was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Our uncle. So it was interesting, because when we were young kids, he was just our super cool Uncle Bob, because he was into a lot of fun stuff and, in retrospect, it's like he was a weirdo, and
eccentric.
And we would go 2-3 years without seeing him because he lived in California, and then either we would visit him or they would visit us every few years or so. And there was that one period where we went from 11 to 15 or something like that between seeing him, and suddenly we were old enough to realize, oh, he's just a weirdo.
Yeah.
And we still loved him; he's still our uncle. But then I also think he got worse as he got older.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
He just got super paranoid and decompensated and.
Did he live most of his life without a diagnosis of schizophrenia?
Yeah. Never diagnosed, never treated. Never diagnosed, never treated.
Well, he was living during a time where there wasn't even that much going on to help people that had that.
Deconstructed his life over time. He couldn't hold down a job. Killed. This is a given example of when we knew all right, this guy is ill and needs attention. He killed his own dog in his living room with a shotgun. He blew up his own dog because the dog nipped him or something, and he felt betrayed by him. So it was terrible. Then he
that's awful.
Tried to kill somebody, his neighbor, with a samurai sword because he was mad at him, and then he blew up his marriage, and then it was really sad. Just he was just spiraling for the last 20 years. He died in his 40s, right? So he was young.
Wow.
The last 10-15 years of his life was this downward spiral.
Remember
and we were young, so I didn't really, but I remember towards the end was when I was in medical school, and I was then I knew oh yeah, this is fucking schizophrenia,
Yeah.
And
today he could have been medicated and
he could have been medicated and functional, It's
I remember he was really into archery. He got all of us into archery.
Yeah.
And
I mean, as a young kid, he was a great.
Yeah, he put that apple on your head, Jay. Remember?
So we were at an archery store.
Yeah.
Steve, remember this? And he tells the guy. So the guy that owns the stores. Yeah, we were at a store that was, it was a sporting store, but it was mostly archery.
Okay.
And they had guns and archery. And the guy that owned the store was a professional hunter, and he was a real archer, the guy.
Yeah.
So my uncle tells this guy, I am the most intuitive archer in the country, if not the world. Yeah. And the guy turns to me and Steve and said, you guys can come back anytime you want, but this guy can't come back into my store.
Oh, okay.
Said it right in front of him.
Yeah, clue.
Oh my God.
He was delusional.
He was delusional.
Yeah.
He used to make a lot of weird thoughts. You couldn't play games with him. It got to the point where, like, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't play a game with the guy because if he didn't win, you were cheating. That was just it. Like, there was no way about it.
Who's that sound like?
Right.
Remember he used to make homemade. He used to make his own vinegar.
Yeah.
Which, you know, he made his own balsamic vinegar, and it was good.
It's like wine. It's like let it
out of wine. It was wine vinegar.
Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah, smart guy, like super smart guy, very typical, like schizophrenic actually, very smart, into a lot of things. That's, you know, again, that's why it's very interesting, but just progressively lost contact with reality, you know.
Now, schizophrenia is definitely hereditary, genetic.
It's not strictly hereditary. There's just an increased probability of getting it if you have a first-degree relative who has it.
Okay.
Right. It just goes up by 1% or 2%, but it's not like you get a gene and you get it. You know what I mean? It's just that, there's a predisposition in the family.
Because I've heard from some people, some acquaintances over time, that they had people diagnosed in their families with schizophrenia, and therefore they chose to not have families because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard it from more than one person.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
But I mean, that's a choice that you make. I mean, I would recommend getting some genetic counseling right before making. That's a pretty big life decision.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's yeah. I mean,
it's scary to think though. You know, like he had no idea. Like think of it from his perspective. He had no idea that he had a mental illness. He lived during a time where there was basically nothing that they can do to help you.
Well, that's not true. There were, you know, we could treat schizophrenia in the 80s and the 90s. You know, I mean, he could have been treated. But part of the thing is, part of schizophrenia is being paranoid and not trusting authority. And schizophrenics very typically short circuit their own treatment because they don't have enough. They don't have, you know, faith in the medical system. They don't trust the medical system. So they think that, you know, their diagnosis and treatment is just a part of the conspiracy against them. So it's a disease that resists its own treatment. That's the real problem. Yeah. And again, he was living in California. He didn't really have anybody there. You know, all his family was all on the East Coast.
Yeah.
You know, again, he sort of destroyed his relationship with his wife, alienated his daughter, and then he was alone. And then you had the schizophrenic living alone and nobody there to really monitor him, take care of him.
You know, the meds that they had back then, though, Steve, there wasn't as many varieties, and they weren't.
But some of the ones that we had back then are still in use. It's not like they were. We had antipsychotic drugs back then. It's not like there was nothing to go on.
Well, and I can relate to it because, you know, I forgot if I said it on the show or not, but my son has ADHD. So my wife and I got him. In our process of analyzing what was going on with him and what we needed to do, I realized that I have ADHD.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the list of things, you know, does your son do this? Does he do this? You know, and I'm like, I do that. I do that.
It's all a matter of degree. You could see yourself in any of those diagnoses. You know, it's all a matter of degree.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. Don't self-diagnose.
No, absolutely not. No, you should definitely. But with ADHD, there is an interesting thing about it, is that the medication that they give you is a stimulant, and it stimulates your frontal lobe. And if you don't have ADHD, the medication will not work on you. It doesn't do anything because there's nothing there for it to do. So that's what happened was I ended up telling my doctor, like, can you give me a prescription? This way I'll find out if I really do have it. And when I took it, I was like, wow, like I'm really feeling positive effects from this medication. And it sucks. You know, the thing I wanted to bring up is I slipped through the cracks. Like, you know, growing up, you know, I was a teenager in the 80s, and there was no testing, there was no analysis or any kind of net there to try to catch people that had some type of psychological issues.
Yeah.
You know, and it had a profound effect on my life. You know, when I scroll back,
you were just a punk.
Right, Steve? Like I couldn't, I had trouble focusing my whole life. You know, it took me becoming an adult to force myself to focus, and I had to like just brute force.
That's why it really frustrates me, you know, the whole anti-ADHD, anti-medication, you know, anti-mental illness treatment, you know, people because it really does a lot of demonstrable harm. You know, there are people who, and yeah, the thing about ADHD is, yeah, you could live your life and be fine and everything. Although demonstrably, there are people who have ADHD have worse outcomes. You know, they're more likely to get divorced. They're more likely to be in jail. Their lifetime earning is less. Than, you know, there's a whole bunch of markers where they don't do as well as people who don't have ADHD. So it's a disorder. It causes problems. But you know, but you can get through your life and be fine. You know. As an individual with it, but it's demonstrably a disorder, and it responds really well to medication. It's totally treatable, and people don't want to do it just because of stigma, of completely unfair and unnecessary stigma. You know,
we just have to put, just like all the other it's a social issue. And just like all the other social issues, you know, like women, for example, have to deal with a lot of shit, like, you know, without even cracking that whole thing open. We have to push it out of our society. And one way to do it is just talk about it. We need to be more vocal about things like this.
There should be no more stigma than having diabetes, you know.
No.
Right.
Or whatever. You treat it.
But the thing is, everybody's got a brain. And everybody has
everyone has a pancreas too.
No, but let me finish my thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody has to deal with you don't have to deal with your pancreas if you have a normal pancreas, but it is hard being a human. It is hard managing your life. There are skills that I learned in therapy throughout my life that if I didn't need to go to therapy, I don't know if I would have. I think therapy, let me put it in a better way. Therapy helped me grow up and become an adult and do a lot of things that I needed to learn that I don't think I would have learned on my own. So it's been beneficial to me just as a human being. Therapy has been very, very beneficial to me. And I highly recommend, you know, going and trying to find a therapist if you feel the need to talk to someone. I mean, just being able to unload, just being able to go talk to someone for an hour and say everything that you want to say with no judgment, it's liberating. It feels good. You walk out lighter than you did when you walk in.
I've had 30 years of involuntary therapy because my wife is a therapist.
And look at how good your life turned out.
No, it's in all seriousness, you know, it's good to have a relationship with someone in your life who is your reality check. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
That your significant other, like that person who's closest to you, whoever that is. One of your jobs when you have a very, very close relationship with someone else is to be their reality check, and they're your reality check. And if you don't have that, it's debilitating.
Yeah.
And like, we know a lot of people in our lives, and you could see like the people who are grounded, who have like a good relationship, and somebody who could tell them to knock it off, you know, whatever, are just much better, you know, dealing with life much better. People who like don't have that just are not anchored to reality. Like it's not good for them.
I mean, inside of your, like, my wife provides the same service to me, Steve, probably not as good as your wife because she's a professional.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, my wife doesn't let me get away with anything. Right. And that is helpful because I end up having to admit to myself.
You're trying to get away with things?
Well, yeah, you know, because I'm doing everything, the same thing that everybody else is doing. I make a mistake and then I immediately try to, you know, lessen the pain by making excuses of why I came to that conclusion or why I did the thing that I did. My wife doesn't let me get away with any of that shit. And it is great because I end up thinking about things in a more direct manner. You know, like I'm not sitting there just running through excuses in my head. You know, even though I'm a trained skeptic, I still try to let myself off the hook as much as possible, right? Unconsciously, I'm doing it. So yeah, I agree with you, Steve.
And skepticism is that too. You know, just sort of auto doing it. You know, it's just
without a doubt. Without a doubt, man. Being a skeptic has been talk about like learning real humility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you really understand neuropsychological humility, when you realize, you know, how bad our perception is and how faulty it is and how bad our thinking is and how faulty that is, you got to humble yourself all the way down to the point where you admit that you are basically likely not an expert in anything. Most people are not experts in anything.
That's true. Depends on where you draw the line for expertise. We're all along the spectrum somewhere for everything, but there's probably a few things in your life where you're above average,
right?
But very few people have like true expertise. Like that means to me that's like you've dedicated years to decades, perfecting that, and also engaging with other people about it's important. If you don't engage with other people, you have no idea if what you're think about it is reality or not. You could be a total crank.
Well, I said it I remember on some podcast, I think I said, like, if you visualize a pyramid in your head, the very tippy top of the pyramid. Let me see if I can get a biz rep over here. I wish I had a
people know what
you need a D-Forge.
Is this the pyramid scheme? Is this the start of it?
No, but the very tippy top,
right there.
The top 3%, right? Thank you, Evan. The top 3% of that pyramid that Evan has there, that's experts. Then everything below that, you need to shut the fuck up.
STFU.
You have to defer to the experts on everything that they say in their field. And if they change their mind, you change your position along with them. That's it. Because there are people that are right below that waterline that know a lot, that are really educated and actually, can be right in a lot of ways. But if they don't have that complete expertise, they're not cutting edge in their field, then they need to defer to the experts.
Yeah.
And
what your goal should be is to understand what the experts think and why. Right. That should be your goal, and not to substitute your own opinion for that.
Yeah.
Oh
gosh.
But when you talk about like what's happening in the world today, and the unbelievable increase in pseudoscience, QAnon, and all the bullshit politics and all that stuff, all the misinformation and all the people talking online, and they think they know what they're talking about. They don't know. Nobody knows what they're talking about.
What you talking about, Willis?
We're regurgitating. We're everything that we think and feel on some level is a regurgitation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why you have to be so humble to the fact that, like in politics, for example, do you really think that we're all getting like the straight deal?
We have no idea what's
never
behind all those closed doors. We have no idea. We have no idea. We actually, that's funny because the triangle thing works here too. We only know the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There is so much more data beyond what we know on the news and what the Justice Department is doing and who said what to who. It's all just an apple skin layer of reality that we're getting. That's why you have to educate the shit out of yourself, and you have to use your skepticism to make the best decisions that you can. That's it. So anyway, that's why skepticism has been such a boon in my life, because it taught me this humility that serves me every single day of my life.
It continues and will forever.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm happy I don't have schizophrenia. Jesus Christ, could you imagine?
Oh yeah,
that's bad. It is bad.
Count your blessings every day.
Charlie says, "Hear me out, man. It's all triangles, made of more triangles." It is
Texas, actually. But
hey, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
We were just asked to give a lecture about the book to Google employees, just to Google, a private one.
Yeah, I was going to email you about that. I want if we do that, it would be great if you could join us somehow. I don't know. Are we going to go there, Steve? Or we're just going to do it online?
I think it's going to be online.
Yeah, they don't want us to travel.
They don't want to fly us anywhere.
Don't need to. I mean, those. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only doing a couple of local events, and everything else is going to be online.
So Charlie is continuing to help me with my Google Ads problem.
Yeah.
I tell you guys about this.
You're not getting enough of them?
No, so what happened was I have never used Google Ads before. And this is me essentially wanting some of our videos for AQ6 to get in front of people who are interested in science fiction, right? So I'm like, I want to pay Google to get some of our videos, to show up in their list when they're searching. So I go in and I create the ad, and I select what credit card in the giant list of credit cards that I have on my thing, and I put it in, and they're reviewing the ad, and then about a week later, I get this notification that my account has been suspended for fraudulent activity.
You bastard.
I mean, really, yeah. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, fraudulent activity. What the hell? So anyway, you can appeal. So they have an appeal process. So I fill out like this questionnaire, and you got all this detail, and it's kind of vague. They don't tell you what you did. They don't tell you the specifics. They never tell you the specifics because they don't want to help scammers figure out how to make their game better.
Yeah,
which I get it, and I respect it. I get it. There's a process. There's real thought behind this because they don't want to like be telling you didn't do this, this, and this. If they did that, then scammers would be able to get through their net much better. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this has turned into me appealing this problem. I think I'm on my 5th appeal now.
Wow.
And in the first appeals, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm not quite sure what information you're looking for, but here's my business. Here's the 3 or 4 brands that I'm managing. This is the brand that I was putting the ad for. Here's a picture of me with the credit card. Still, I don't know what I did wrong, but I'm just trying to shoot. I'm trying to shoot into the wind here. Like maybe I'll figure out like what it is that's wrong somewhere in this complete blankness of Google Ads.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they write back and say, sorry, we're not accepting your appeal, and that's it. So then I email Charlie, and Charlie like tries to do an internal search and maybe talk to someone on that team, right? Because Charlie can contact basically anybody that works at Google.
Ooh.
So Charlie writes me back and says, I can't contact this team. Specifically, they say, do not contact us about your friends and family having trouble with Google Ads because it happens too much. Because they basically have an algorithm that I got caught in. The algorithm flagged me as potentially having fraudulent activity, but there's no easy way out of it. So Charlie has been counseling me on what to do and all, and all that. So now I'm like asking Steve, give me bank records. Like I want to take screenshots of us looking at our credit card just so I can show them I used my credit card.
Yeah.
This is what it takes to resolve this matter?
But Evan, I don't know what the problem is. I actually don't know what the problem is. That is the problem. If they said, this is what you're doing, I could just write right back and go, okay, I can fix that.
Yeah. So how are we going to argue with AI in the future in these scenarios, right? How are we going to get to like the human level of understanding when the AI is going to snag us and compartmentalize us as being bot or fraudulent or something? It will never ever come to the reality and let us go. That's going to be a major issue, I think.
Well, first off, I agree with you, and you can't get to people today. It's very hard. Like trying to get someone from Facebook or Google or any of these
and these are
companies.
People, right? So imagine if the computer has all the control over something like this.
Keep this in mind. A friend of mine works at Google and is helping me. He is literally saying, "Jay, I found out this. Try this." Which is unbelievable.
That Sergey Brin on speed dial, and he can't.
But even with help from someone that works at the company. I'm stuck in the algorithm. I don't know what to do at this point.
Well, that reminds me of my solar problem. If you remember, that didn't get solved until a listener who worked at the company fixed it for me.
Yeah.
Months of we lost your solar panels and we don't know what, whatever. It was just crazy time until I had an inside connection to fix it.
Yep. And for the life of Google, I have largely appreciated this company, and I like it. I know that Google at this point they probably have done some things that a lot of people wouldn't like. I don't know though. I honestly don't know. I don't know how scummy that they actually are, but I like their products. I like their vibe. I like what they do. And this was the first time where I'm like, God damn it, I can't talk to somebody. I can't I can't actually fix this. I am not a scammer. They should have an avenue for non-scammers to get out of that trap.
There is. You just have to shame them on Twitter. That's literally the only method.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just not that kind of guy.
I'll do it.
All right, take care of it, Ian.
All right,
okay, you'll be our hip man.
You got to help me with Uber because I had a problem with Uber a couple months ago.
But Charlie, thank you so much for all your help, man. I mean, you had at least answered some questions that I had. I mean, if I didn't have you to at least explain to me what's going on, I do understand what's happening now. I get why it's so hard. But the version of me that did the first 2 appeals, I was livid. I was like, what the hell is this shit?
Why can't I just talk to a reasonable person and resolve this?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
days of customer service are probably in their twilight when it comes to things like this.
Yeah. So anyway, I won't be placing ads, I guess, for my brand, for my company.
Right. We want to pay you. What's happening?
Yes.
What's happening?
Jay, do you have a quiz today?
No quiz. Evan, I thought of something
I don't even
interesting.
have a puzzle. Yeah.
Evan, I thought of something interesting. We will have AIs fight for us. Right?
Yeah.
We have
or
to have
against us, yes.
No. What I mean is, like, we're
So
going
you
up
hire
against...
an AI to
yes, we hire an AI.
Oh, I see.
Talk to the AIs for us. I want to start that company.
That's funny. Yeah. So nothing can possibly go wrong there.
Think of the commercial. It'll be kind of like a cyberpunky commercial. And it'll be like, are you having trouble with artificial intelligence blocking you into a corner? Are you having trouble growing your business because AIs won't let you do blah, blah, blah? You could hire, what would we call it? AI in the sky. You could hire AI in the sky to help you get through your AI blockages.
But Jay, then it turns out it's both AIs are made by the same company.
Oh,
they do that just to get you to buy the AI to fix the problem.
And then you
got
then you got to deal with another company, another AI. Yeah. Oh boy.
I've been listening to this podcast called Hacked. And it's very good. I started listening when they first came out years ago, and then they took a hiatus because they had a TV deal, I think. So they stopped making the podcast. And then I recently found out that they've been back at it for a couple of years. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating what is going on in the world of hacking and all the things that, like,
oh gosh,
the crazy shit that people come up with and what they're able to do.
Never use a computer again.
Like, I found out that North Korea has a massive hacking scam robbing people of Bitcoin and stuff. They make themselves billions of US dollars a year by doing like whatever, like locking people's computers up and making them have to pay ransomware to get access back. They do that kind of shit. This is like state approved, state level.
Yeah. Russia, forget it.
Yeah,
they're all into that.
Without a doubt. And it makes you, I have no idea. Like,
actors everywhere.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. They're everywhere, man. They're doing everything. I mean, the amount of like stolen money through crypto is phenomenal. Like all the time. Oh, they got
there's no recourse.
Yeah,
there's no recourse. There's no insurance. It's not FDIC protected like a bank account or anything like that. You are out. They steal your what is it? Your key, your wallet, whatever. They get they somehow get the number. That's it. Gone.
Yeah, like
forever. No recourse.
Example,
no nothing. You're done.
That you have to launder Bitcoin or crypto too, right? So what they do is, like, let's say you rob someone or some bank or some exchange of Bitcoin. Let's say you stole Bitcoin from thousands of people and you end up with 80 million Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You do need to launder it, right? So the way that they do it is they transfer it, like it's software is doing all of this, by the way. They will transfer that Bitcoin to all these other cryptocurrencies and then transfer who the owner is of that, like in all these different companies that they own. And it iterates, they'll run through thousands of these. They just keep transferring it from one to the other, transfer from this crypto to this crypto to this crypto to this.
And then keep it moving.
And it gets to the point where you can't, there is no way to track it anymore. It's gone through so many iterations that it's gone down a rabbit hole and it's gone. It's scrubbed. And that's how they do it. And you could hire a company. There are websites that you can go to where you could be like, I'm transferring my Bitcoin to you. They scrub it for you. And then they keep 10% of your Bitcoin. And that's just one thing. That is one thing that's going on. There is so many there's so much of this going on out there.
Oh my gosh.
And it's fascinating though. I know it is a little depressing because it has a whole like dystopian vibe to it, without a doubt.
Or help. I mean, talk about feeling helpless. I mean, I personally, it's a personal choice, right? Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and all these things, personal choice. All right. I could not sleep at night knowing that those things were out there. And if I were into those products, that it would ruin my quality of life. I know it would. It's just not for me personally. Mm-hmm. Personal choice, not for me.
I have, there are news items now. Like Bob on this week's show is talking about the danger of volcanoes, right? I don't want to know that. I'm at that point now. I don't want to worry about volcanoes. I don't want to worry. I don't need it. I just doesn't. Those types of things, like, I'll think about that. I'll be at home and I'm like, fucking A, man. What if one of the super volcanoes, like, I just would rather just not know. Like, you can't help yourself. You can't do anything. It's just going to kill you,
Yeah. Like, right. And not to give too much away, but the parallel is the asteroid colliding with the Earth. What can you do? Well,
you can't do anything.
If you've learned, you could, we could mitigate that to a certain degree if we have enough warning and all that stuff, and launch the missiles correctly and whatever else. Yeah. But you're right, Jay. Something like a volcano, and Bob's going to talk about it tomorrow. In which
out of the way.
We have you just try to move as many people as possible and learn about it as early as you can so that they don't get destroyed.
But it's up to governments to deal with shit like this,
and we don't have good methods for those things right
now.
Right.
We're like, you're totally right.
Woefully.
How do you like prevent the volcano from erupting? I don't know. It's one of the, like, forget it. I just have too much shit going on in my life. I can't worry about that stuff.
The germs and everything else. Yep. It's amazing we're alive at all.
It is. It's good though. I mean, look, man, we all live, most of us, if you have a computer, if you have access to disposable income, you're goddamn lucky. Like, I feel every day I remind myself, like, I feel lucky. I have good people in my life. I have intellectual pursuits that I still, in my 50s, I still get to have, like, legitimate intellectual pursuits. Yeah. There's lots of things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like, that's my life right there.
Yeah. You're not suffering with, like, Alzheimer's, in that sort of, world, or, so many things you can point to that are positive. Count your blessings. And even though we're skeptics, but I like that phrase anyways. You do have to concentrate on the positive things in life. You could get, it's just way too easy to get so down, so depressed, so despondent. Thinking about how fragile things are and how terribly things can go wrong at any given moment.
Yeah, I know. It really is. We live on the flimsiest of flimsy reality. You know what I mean? Like, you could get, your life could be changed in a heartbeat by falling down the last step going down in your house. You know what I mean? Like, it's as crazy as that. And I find that it keeps me sane to remind myself of all the good things that I have and appreciate them. Like I said, the weather is amazing, right? We're having an amazing September. I went outside today and I sat outside with my laptop for an hour, and I had the time of my life. I was so comfortable, it just felt good. And I'm trying to, like, appreciate that. I'm not going to have that in 30 years. I'm going to be an old man. I'm not going to be able to, appreciate it like I can right now.
Right, should we take some questions?
Oh yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah. Then I got to go eat something or I'm going to die.
Meatballs?
No, I'm on diet.
Nope,
I'm going to eat something that has no flavor.
Diet meatballs? Yeah, let's see if we got any questions. Anybody put some questions in the chat? Let's see. Okay, preemptive question. This is an old one for the rogues next week. When they cancel a live stream, do they feel a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of nerds suddenly cry out in terror and they're suddenly silenced?
Yes, but we ignore it.
Right. We're way past that.
I'm acutely aware of it. I mean, I know you guys love the live stream, and it is fun to do, but it is a lot of it's personal time. I mean, I am right now foregoing time with my family, and
but also, we had something going on every weekend. You know what I mean?
It was a busy summer. I had a very busy summer.
And Friday, like, if you have to go anywhere, like, you go on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. So it was just got eaten up every weekend.
No, that question came from July, so that was an old thing.
Oh wow,
it's still a legit question.
Still legit. Speaking of which, in 2 weeks, what's happening this Friday, Jay? That
2
Friday,
weeks,
the 16th.
The 16th. Are we confirmed? We're confirmed on that, right?
With BVZ?
Yes.
I'll commit to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we confirmed with George.
Okay.
I don't know if we can traverse with Steve.
So you're saying the Friday 5 o'clock?
I have an interview from 4 to 5. If it could be after 5, that would be fine.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I think
start
we
at
were planning on
5:15.
doing it like the Friday live stream. But anyway, we're doing a BVZ in 2 weeks on the 16th.
Yeah.
Boomer versus Zoomer, if anybody
That's our game
not familiar
show.
with. That's right.
Well, we'll do it here. We'll do it on the live stream day.
We'll do it on the live stream day.
We got you and I have a lot of work, Ian.
I know, and we're
Better
also
get
doing
that
that
ready.
6-hour show we're prepping for.
Yeah, the following week.
I didn't get a question, but we did get some feedback about your claim of cacio e pepe, which somebody said it was a butter sauce, but in fact it is just Parmesan and pasta water and pepper. There is no butter in it.
And pepper. You could make it with butter if you
You
wanted.
could, but then technically I think it would be cacio e pepe, a burro or something. Whatever butter is in Italian.
Butter.
Butter. Yeah, butter. Hey, butter. Any other questions? Yay, the Friday. Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much, chat. What is this diet you talk about? Oh, maybe you could go into specificity. I know you.
All right. I mean, I'm not. The word diet to me it's not that good of a word. I am restricting my calories. It's the only way really to lose weight. I'm trying to move more and eat less. So what I do is I make overnight oats, and I have those for breakfast. So I'm largely eating oatmeal, and that's all I'm eating pretty much throughout the day. I might eat a handful of almonds or whatever, and then at night I have a reasonably sized dinner. And I've been eating much healthier dinners. Instead of like, I'm not eating any red meat, and I'm eating more vegetables. To help fill me up and everything, and it's working. I mean, I'm losing weight at a very good pace. I can see it, and I do this every year for maintenance. You just keep it down so doesn't get out of control. I don't want to ever be in a situation where I have to lose 40 pounds. That to me is like, I just couldn't deal with that. If I got to lose 15 pounds, no problem. 40, forget it. No meatballs. This is a non-meatball diet. I have not eaten any bread. I have not made my bread in over a month. That sucks. I look at my starter every day. I'm like, I got to get back.
You're getting shamed in the Discord. It's so boring to hear someone doing a reasonable diet. We need extreme or nothing.
All right, what I'm doing is I am squeezing fresh cherries, and I'm rubbing the juice of those cherries all over my chest. This is if you didn't know this is a appetite suppressant. It works. It works, and
ancient Italian
Rachel
remedy.
and Evan do it. They love it.
Yes, we do.
Hey, Rachel.
Also,
Jay says, "Hey."
Hi, Jay. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Rachel.
Also in the
You wanna
Discord,
jump on
shout
for a
out to
second?
the Canadian Goose Gang for something, whatever that means. We got a question. Do I get a sticker if I already purchased or pre-ordered months ago?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Just submit your
Rachel.
proof of pre-order. Follow the trail of breadcrumbs. On the website, and you'll get your decal sticker doohickey.
So, Rachel, I saw something recently.
Yes.
I saw you playing on stage with one of your favorite bands. You were playing the drums, and really, like, no shit, I was blown away. You
almost looked like you knew what you were doing up there.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience.
It was cool for me just being a voyeur and watching it. I was like, I downloaded the video for you, and I sent it to your dad because I found a good quality version of it, and I sent it to you. That was really cool. Like, you pulled that off. That was legit.
Yeah.
How nervous were you?
Actually not at all, to be honest.
That's kind of the groove.
I kind of got into the groove pretty quickly, and it's interesting because having people come to sing on stage is one thing, but having someone come up on stage to play the backbone of a song that you don't know if they can truly play unless if they play
must have been
it.
Nervous.
The whole band was like okay with it towards the end, but the two one of the two members, the vocalist and the guitarist, were a little bit skeptical at first. We're like, do we want this to happen?
I would have felt the same way. I mean, I was in a band for 21 years. Like, someone wants to come play the drums. That's like, whoa, that's a big deal.
So for everyone else who doesn't know what's going on, this is a band that Rachel follows who will call fans up on stage to either sing or usually to sing or to play an instrument sometimes. if they say like, so you held up a sign saying I can drum this song, and they're like, come on up, and they let you drum it on stage.
Yeah, the drummer wanted you. Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
Yeah.
And the band is 3 Days Grace. People know them.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Famous.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good song too. I actually I never heard of them before. Don't get mad at me. But because of that, I listened to some of their songs and I actually like, wow, this is a relatively current band that I actually like their music, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, and they very successful. They've won a bunch of awards. I think they were nominated for one of the best songs. One of their most recent singles called "So-Called Life." I think they either won an award or was nominated for one for that. So yeah.
17 number one hits.
17 number one hits.
So,
yeah, that's no joke. Yeah, they're good songwriters. And so what else are you doing in your life? What else is happening?
Just same old stuff.
Which means what? Artwork and music?
Artwork, music.
Why don't you email me some recent artwork? I haven't seen anything that you've done in a while.
Yeah, I could do that.
I want to see where you're at. I know you're getting better every day because you're doing
what he means by that is he wants to exploit your artistry.
He wants to steal them and put his watermark on them.
Do it.
Make a drawing of me standing on a mountain and I look cool and everybody likes me. That's where I'm heading with this.
I could do that.
But with the new book in there so we can promote it, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Come on. Goes without saying.
Somebody wants to know if you listen to the podcast.
There's only one correct answer.
You want to know what the correct answer for
I know
me
what
is?
the answer is. No, you have a life and
it's a
you're
no.
busy. Yeah, of course.
I live with this guy 24/7, so
Yeah,
I don't need the puns. I don't
She
need
lives the
I live the
podcast.
podcast every
That's
single
right.
day.
My son asked me, he went, "Daddy, can people hear you on your podcast?" I'm like, I was like, for a second, I'm like, are you joking? But I think he was asking, do a lot of people listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
Right. So then I get into this conversation with him and he was picking my brain. It was really fun. Like he wanted to know, like, you trying to teach people stuff? Like, what are you doing? Like he wants to get into what I'm doing, like what does daddy do for work? He's been becoming more curious now, which is pretty cool. I would love for him to be a skeptic. I'm teaching him. I was just teaching him last week about neuropsychological humility. I was telling him, you can't trust what your brain is showing you. Like what you think you're hearing and seeing, you can't trust any of that. That's all subject to whatever your brain is doing. It's not reality. It's fake reality. And he was just like, he was like, what? Yeah. Like my eyes can show me things that aren't real. I'm like, yes.
Well, that's how magic works, right? I mean, that's sort of a good sort of everyday demonstration of how you could be deceived by how your brain works. Magicians are just exploiting neurology.
Absolutely.
Yes, with great effect.
Absolutely.
Is
all right,
Rachel
why
a
don't we?
Skeptic? Yeah, I would say I'm a critical thinker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be. It's a requirement of being in this extended family that we have.
Mm-hmm.
You're excommunicated.
Certification.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll let you get back to it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye, chat.
One more question.
One more.
Do one more.
Oh, did you guys watch the Rings of Power yet?
I watched the first episode right before coming onto this live stream.
Oh, and
I like it. I mean, it's it's really early. It's a huge story to have to tee up. But I like what I'm seeing so far. And I've read a lot of reviews of it. Not giving anything away. Not like there's much to give away, but I could see both the praise and the criticism and everything, but I'm just going to give it a chance for what it is. It's the single most expensive TV show ever produced.
Yeah,
crazy,
and definitely looks like it. So
we should review it, Steve.
High budget. Yeah, I think we should review it. I'm watching Sandman too. Somebody asked about Sandman. It's okay. I mean, it's different. I like it. Some of the episodes are cool. It just there's something missing from it, and it's one of those intangible things. Like I'm still not sure why I should care about anybody in this story. You know what I
That's
mean?
no good. If you feel that way, that's not good.
Yeah, I know that there's just something missing. But it's hard to write a story about an immortal being, you know, who doesn't really relate very much to human beings. Like at one point, my wife asked me, "Are we supposed to be rooting for this guy?" I'm like, I don't know. I think he's the protagonist, but it's, you know, it's just. But anyway, some of the individual episodes are cool, and you know the imagery is good, and you know the story is very interesting and different. It's just doesn't have quite the hook I think it needs. House of Dragon is so far is mediocre. You know, it's
mediocre.
I'm definitely going to watch the season. I'm enjoying watching the episodes to some extent, but it all seems a little small. I think the problem is that it's not connected to anything bigger, and I think they kind of know it. You know, they try to connect it to like what happens in the Game of Thrones, but it's like that's just doesn't work. You know,
Yeah, it doesn't work.
So we'll see. I mean, you know, again, I've only seen 2 episodes. I think we should review it as well. We might even review them together. But it's all political intrigue, and like again, it's like, why do I care? Why do I care who wins here? It's like all just gray, morally gray, Nessine fighting, and they haven't figured out why the audience should care. You know, there's one character, you know, that I am rooting for, but it's, you know, again, they haven't gotten there yet. Whereas like with Game of Thrones, first episode, you're in. You've totally bought into, you know, the world and the conflict and the characters. You've already identifying with some characters. You know who the villains are. You know, even though they might flip that later on, but still you're invested. With the House of Dragon, I'm not sure why I'm not that invested in anything yet.
Yeah, at this point, there's so many TV shows to pick from. Like if they can't knowingly write a script, where the audience is going to connect to the goddamn some character or two, if they can't do that,
and the conflict, you know,
like it's like you're just wasting money at that point. Like, don't even bother doing it because so many people are doing it so freaking well.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just don't spend a freaking $300-400 million on a TV show if you don't have the script.
I think the threshold is very high. The standard for what we would consider good writing is extremely high, and you know, whatever, they created that situation by having there's really good writing for TV now, and what you're going to get compared to is very high, especially when you're in the same universe, right? You're doing a prequel. Of course, it's going to be compared to Game of Thrones because it's a Game of Thrones prequel. I think that they're, you know, what they struggle with is, you know, they're trying to exploit established genres, right? Established franchises, and they don't always know how to walk that line between giving audiences more of something that they like and are familiar with, but at the same time making it new and interesting, and capturing sort of the important bits about storytelling. And so it's the risk is always that it will just fall flat because it's just, you know, they've sucked all the life out of it. But and it takes really, really good writing. And if they're trying to substitute for good writing by just exploiting an existing fan base, it's never going to work. It never does work.
No.
You know, I don't know why they think it will. It's just, but they kind of know there's a high floor. You know what I mean? Like they know they're going to make a certain amount of money on it. Like I think House of Dragon, like the first episode was the most watched show on HBO ever.
I hate that.
Wow.
I think that is so bogus. You know,
rather than taking a chance on something new, you know, they don't want to do that.
Yeah. All right, let's put it down, guys. Good to see everybody.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Yes. Be safe out there.
Enjoy your long weekend. People in the U.S.
Tell
Until
people
next
that you
time.
are. Tell the people that you love them. Put the effort
And
in.
most importantly, pre-order our book, not only for yourself, but for all your friends and family. Tell them about it as well.
That's right. Buy that
Get your
book 3
signed
times.
copy. Yep. And yeah, there you go.
God bless.
Thank
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Thanks
Ian.
for
All
the
right,
chat.
John.
Good night,
Everybody.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Skeptics Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.
Yeah, Elon, I gotta go. Oh, I'm back on. Bye. Sorry, I had to take that call.
Wait, was that really Elon?
Oh my God, you know
Did
him?
I say Elon?
I mean,
I meant George. Rob. Yeah, it was George. Yeah.
We call him Elon from now on.
So,
all right.
I want to totally and thoroughly enjoy this launch. I am so excited about it. I hate the negativity. It's big. It's a big deal. We're sending up the biggest rocket of all time.
Yeah.
Its payload is simulating people going to the moon. It's got dummies on it for real, and they're analyzing those dummies to make sure that everything is functioning properly. I mean, it's as close to people flying to the moon as we'll get until we actually do it.
No argument from me. I'm all for it. I was for the entire Artemis program since its conception, inception, everything about it. The end of the, I'm all in for it. I've been wanting to go back to the moon for a long time. Heck, from the space shuttle days, I was even questioning like why aren't we investing in like kind of the next thing now and trying to get back to the moon? I mean, we kind of just stopped, and for whatever reasons, financial or just disinterested or whatever, it's like I never really understood why we stopped going. It never made much sense to me.
I think a big part of it was the general public got bored with it.
Yeah, I think that at least that's how it's portrayed in storytelling and books and movies and things, is that it became blasé, which is, to me,
not to me. Not to a lot of people.
Are you kidding me? Like it's arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, achievement of humankind. That we made.
You sure it wasn't Kubrick just wanting more money to fix?
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
who could be 100% sure? But you think about the raw nerve that it takes to not only engineer and build this stuff, but I think about the astronauts, anybody that travels to space, but imagine getting on a spacecraft and flying away from Earth and going to the moon, where you are very, very far away. Like the idea that people can handle doing that and remain calm, cool, and collective, to maintain your seriousness and your focus, that to me, all by itself, is one of the most amazing things about all of this.
Yeah, you have no choice really, because the alternative is death in a lot of cases. Like, so if you are not focused and really head in the game 100%, then you risk everything.
Yeah.
So it's you're walking such a fine line between living and dying in the whole process. I can't imagine how you couldn't be so more focused than any person's maybe been focused in history.
But you could decompensate. I mean, you could be having they don't put people, they don't let people with panic disorder go up there, of course.
Oh gosh, no, they're going to screen. You have to go through all sorts of screening and stuff. So,
but just thinking like Neil Armstrong landing the moon lander, like he landed with 7 seconds of fuel left. Like what?
I know. 7 seconds. Yeah, right. Just the hair, difference between success and failure is.
Yeah.
And how many points of failure are there? Well, we talked about the James Webb Telescope, and there were
300, right?
Were there about 300 failure points from the point of launch to the point of the Lagrange point?
Oh no, I don't know if it was from point of launch. I thought that they had about 300 things after they got it there that had to happen.
There were many things that had to go perfectly right, or the mission would not have worked. And all of them fail points, and they were in the hundreds. I think I recall
300,
which is why it took them, better part of 20 years before they could, get the whole thing up and going. Because we talked about James Webb for so long, it almost became a running joke to an extent, but it is no joke. It's this is what it takes. It takes a long time to get these.
It's deadly serious, man. I mean, this is humans exploring our reality. I think it's a natural and normal thing for humans to do what we're doing. We need to do it. Yeah. It also it's a thing that inspires people.
Yeah, absolutely.
People can be inspired by lots of different things, but when you send people to the moon, that changes reality.
It changes lives. It changes career paths. It changes, communities. It changes countries.
Yeah.
So these are not insignificant things. Hi, my dog.
What's your dog name? What's your
dog
name?
Is Rue, Roux.
Rue.
He's a rescue, and he's a part boxer, part shepherd. So he's got that nice boxer coat to him with the shepherd face, right? He's a good boy. And he usually doesn't visit me down here unless something's wrong upstairs. So I have to go in a minute and figure out what might be going on.
Yeah, we'll cut it off soon.
Timmy
Bob's calling me right now, and I can't pick it up because we are in the after show.
Yes.
Right.
Before we go,
picked it up.
Has Steve or Bob figured any of this out?
I'll never figure it out.
No. I'm agreeing.
That blows my mind.
Except Bob is probably watching it right now.
That blows my mind.
What are they doing?
But it's also this thing, it's this special thing that we have, the three of us. We have this bond that is unique. There's nothing else like it, and it's only us, the three of us, really.
But think about what Ian just said, though. Bob could be watching right now. The beans could have just spilled.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Odd circumstances.
This is all a joke.
Your phone be lighting up right now.
Well, he did call me. He called me.
Oh, did he? When?
Yeah.
Like a minute
now.
ago?
He was just
right now.
No, sir. Get him on the phone. Come on, let's do this.
No, I don't want to. I'm not going to help him figure it out. These guys have to figure it out on their own.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe he's stuck in Dragon Con somewhere.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, Bill Smith, among others. I did not mean to exclude all of you as being in on this. I meant the three of us who, are making it happen for you. You are the audience is most definitely a big part of this. Yes, you're not chopped liver.
No,
no,
if we were doing this just on our own, it would be pretty pathetic.
But it's more the fact that it doesn't hit Steve's radar. As far as we know, it hasn't hit Bob's radar either. I don't think even Kara knows, but
Kara doesn't know.
Yeah, she doesn't know. So it's a cool little thing.
All right, so
doesn't know either.
Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Rue.
Yes, Rue, I'm coming. Yes, I'll be upstairs in just 1 second. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Peace to you all. Ian, thank you
again,
safe
my weekend. Friend. Yes, Ian. Can't wait to see you soon, my friend.
Okay. Good day to you, Jay. Toggle on, of course. Dog cam has to get
dog cam.
Final.
My dog, my face. Can you make
me do the dog face?
Camera? Okay.
All right. Good day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.